Cool, huh? I can come right back here now. I always wanted to be able to do this with my fish tanks, like be able to go behind them. I think many of you guys think I have a lot of this stuff memorized, but I simply do not. Today I'm going to be building a rack for 4 4-foot long tanks. Each tank is 60 gallons. It is 4 feet long, 16 inches wide, 16 inches tall, made of acrylic, and absolutely filthy right now because they used to be part of the racking system. I'm going to shove them all into this corner. I'm going to bring them here out from the wall by about almost 2 feet so I can get behind it easily for a method of filtration that I know many of you guys want to try or do but never have, and we'll get to that eventually. But I'm going to be able to filter all 3 of these aquariums with a filter that you probably already have. I'm constructing this out of 2x4s, and I'm building it out of 2x4s just simply due to the size of the aquariums and their total weight. Each aquarium is about 60 gallons. 60 gallons of water. A gallon of water weighs 8.3 pounds. So full of these weigh about 500 pounds. The weight of the tank, maybe add in some substrate, let's call it 100 pounds total. 600 pounds of weight these need to support. A 2x4 upright, meaning that something sitting on it this way, can hold about 800 pounds. Up on edge like this, a 2x4 at 4 feet of length can hold about 460 pounds of weight. This is how you make sure you're using the right size lumber, by the way. We've never talked about this before. I've written about it in my book. Actually, just screenshot it. I've written about it in my book. Link in the description if you want to get to it. Big old book. Usually my stands have 2 support systems on each corner, and that gives it a total of 8 supports. And then the lengthwise of the tank, 2 of those boards holding about 900 pounds total. That's still more than I need before the board's starting to bow. Let me show you something where Joey screwed up. This entire rack, ignore the door, this entire racking system held what's equivalent to 3 of these. So it was about 180 gallons across 12 feet. That 2x6 began to bow in the middle, so I had to add a 2x3 support. That's why that is there. I miscalculated, and once your tank starts bowing, you don't want that. You got to follow these calculations. But all of these calculations, we also have to consider that we're stacking these tanks one on top of the other. So the bottom supports have to support the 2 aquariums, not only the aquarium that's on it, but both aquariums below or above it as well. So based on these calculations, I could probably stack about 8 of these tanks total. Obviously, I'm not going to need that, but that's what the 2x4s are going to be capable of based on the dimensions that I'm going with. I go with 2x4s even though they are too big for what I need, simply because they're the most common lumber size, really. We have to remember that a 2x4 is not 2x4. It's technically 1.5 by 3.5, but it's called 2x4. I'm making this 4 feet tall, or I'm sorry, the entire racking system is going to be 6 feet tall total. This gets an X because that is my pattern piece. Meaning, all subsequent pieces that I need to cut, the top, this is the guide that goes on the outside. The 16-inch tank's going to stand on this and be 6 foot tall. But the next 3 need to be the same size as this. Instead of measuring them out, because sometimes the measuring tape is off, I'd rather have my measurements off than the lumber off. So I mark it with an X, knowing that each subsequent piece I want it to be identical to the first one. All these offcuts we don't throw out. We're losing daylight, so I gotta move quicker. Now, luckily, I didn't need to cut up a lot of boards. In fact, very little in comparison to what I used to have to do or that I've typically done. I'm gonna show you the new design. So obviously, I'm gonna repaint the floors, I'm gonna repaint all the walls, I gotta patch some holes, etc., etc. But once I'm done building the tanks and whatnot. So this is going to hold 3 of the 60-gallon tanks. The top tank is going to be just as tall as Tyrese's tank is now, minus about an inch, because this overall is about an inch shorter. I've reused a lot of the wood. As you can see, it's kind of patching and trying to reuse as much as I can. It's painted black, but only on the areas you're going to be able to actually see. The way this works is simple. You'll notice that there's a 2x4. It's bolted in Each layer, and there's only two, is bolted in with 8 4-inch, quarter-inch bolts. These are absolutely enormous, and they go directly into the studs of the wall. It's connected to 4 studs. The reason why it's so long is that if I want to, I can push this entire stand all the way to the wall, if I ever change my mind, or leave it as is. I thought, let's have the option. It's not that big of a deal. I'm going to paint those boards to match the color of the wall anyways. You're not even really going to be able to see them. But now it allows me to get behind the tanks and deal with the filtration that's going to run all 3 of these tanks. Now, you might think, well, there's no way 8 of these bolts are going to hold up all of these tanks. Each layer only holds that tank. So the weight from this tank is put onto here and all of the supports here. As you can see, the connections here, all the weight's actually going here, transfers down to the next one and the next one, and there's 3 of them all the way through. Each one of these should support around 800 pounds, so 8, 16, 2,400 pounds. Each layer will weigh around 6. So this is more than twice that I need, but you also might be thinking, what if it tips over or something? This is not going anywhere. It's not bolted into the ground here, but it's bolted into the wall there, there, and there. This is identical as to what we already did with the filtration system previously. If we look under, same idea. This is just all bolted into the wall. Mind you, these are only 40-gallon tanks, but they're 40-gallon glass tanks. These, when filled, probably hold closer to 50, 55 gallons, but they're half the weight. Ultimately, though, this is more than enough. It's perfect. It's not taking up a lot of space. The stand itself, the tanks, since they're going in here and go against the wall there, this is only 3 inches. So the stand and the entire racking system is like space saving plus money saving. I'm using half the wood and saving twice as much space as I typically would. Now, you look at the 3 inches here. Now, if I were to have built it like I did the 375 stand, which I typically build them like this, you'll notice that we would have the width of at least one board and the thickness of another. Now this is a 2x6, so I've got 6 inches here, 1.5 inches there, making it 7.5 inches. But we've only got 3, so I've saved a total of 7 inches, saved money, saved boards, and it kind of looks slick. Once it's all painted, tanks are in, it's going to look really cool. I'm leaving this opened because I kind of like the look of it for now, but I think what I'm going to do is actually cover it to match the new tank that I'm going to build, and I might even put nice boards along the front just to kind of pretty it up. Obviously, I don't have any white paint, and I don't know if I'm going to be painting the walls white out here again, but whatever color I put these walls is I'm going to paint these. Okay, and now the payoff. My favorite part to building this sort of thing. Now watch this. This is a 60-gallon tank. It's 4 feet long, 16 inches wide, 16 inches is tall. 10 millimeter acrylic, but because it's acrylic, it's like less than half the weight of a glass aquarium. I can move these around with ease. I don't know if I'm going to keep the fan here. We'll see. Depends on circulation in the room. I've only painted things black based off of what you can actually see. Oh, this is beautiful. Now the downside is I can't get the tanks in this side because the trim's here. I could remove the trim, but then I gotta remove the bottom trim. I'm just gonna put them in through the back. I wonder if it'll go in like this. No. It's gotta go in like this way. Oh, behind it is exactly 16 inches. Lovely. Hopefully this fits in. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. The entire width is 32 inches. The tanks are 16, so that means there's gotta be at least 16 back here. But it's like, just barely. Looks like we're taking the trim off. Take the trim off, put it back on after we're done here. I guess I should have thought of that before I tried moving these, is make sure. I guess I never thought of the trim being here. Do I even need trim? I mean, no, that's just me being lazy. And I mean, technically it'll fit back here, but It also has its plumbing on it. It has a bulkhead drilled into the back of it there. See on the bottom there? I don't know. Whatever, this is fine. Oh, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. Oh, now I can paint that. Yeah, I really wanted to add these back into the gallery simply because, well, I just built them, but I also have specific plans for all of them and things I want to do. I can divulge a couple of the plans for you here in a minute. Let's get this one in. It's a tight squeeze. Oh, there's a nail there, that's why. There's not a massive amount of room above each tank. I think it's 6 inches. Yeah, 5 inches actually, which is technically fine. I just need enough room to get my arm in to the top. I don't plan on putting any fish in there that are going to be wider than 6 inches. Like, great, just had a shower too. But yeah, this is going to look amazing. So I think in the bottom tank, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my female parrot that will not stop laying eggs. Her partner, the male parrot, is infertile. He can't he can't fertilize the eggs, but parrotfish definitely will cross with a flower horn. So at some point, I'm going to run in and grab Franklin, Tamara's male flower horn, and I'm going to put him in one of these tanks, probably the bottom one, like I said, and see what happens. I need backgrounds in these. The other two, I think either this one or this one, I'm going to do heavily planted. And one of them is going to be a grow out tank for plants and other fish that will be going into that system. Or at least that's the idea. Yeah, it looks very skinny and like it would almost tip over. But one of the things that I'm still going to do, and even though I've already done it, is I'm going to have to shim it, make sure it's all level. It should be level, but I don't know if you guys have ever noticed, but for example, when I built this, one of the problems with this floor was it cracked from here and it went all the way through the 2000. But that can happen with concrete floors, especially in Canada. It hasn't gotten any worse since then, but things do happen. Okay, now we've got to get Tyrese to his new aquarium, which is over here. Get him in there, finish painting this up. If you guys don't know, we recently set that up for Tyrese. Looks absolutely gorgeous. And then I can rip all this out and begin the new build. The new build will go from this wall all the way down to here. Maybe to be like right around here. As you can see, it's almost like this is a visual block. Heck, I might even build a canopy here. No, I don't know. New tank will be built of plywood with acrylic, epoxied inside. From here, as you can see, I marked it a long time ago. From here to that wall is 14 feet. And from 14 to there would be 23 feet. So this is probably around, 5 feet here? And I plan to have about 1.5 feet in between. So it looks like we could probably build this to be 18 feet. I'm actually probably going to do it 17 feet. 17 feet wide, and I'm not doing like a monstrous aquarium. I have absolutely zero interest. I already got one. It'll be the width of this, which is around 30 inches, and then tall, probably 30 inches, so 17 feet by 2.5 by 2.5. Something like that, which is actually like amazing dimensions, especially for the fish that I want to put in it, which are, of course, the Geophagus, my Ultim Angels, and Black Diamond Stingray. But that's it for today. That is the project. Built the stand, got the tanks on them. Obviously, I'll probably shim them, water fill it. I got to get some painting done, put the trim back on the window, but more importantly, start cleaning up this gallery and moving on to the next step. Some of the other things that we can expect to do here shortly is, of course, well, always look at the piranha tank as we pass by it because it's just absolutely gorgeous. But get Tyrese moved over, get all this ripped down, potentially get these started to set up. I just need the plumbing supplies and then hook up the filtration. The filter is going to be a filter that you probably have, and I'm going to show you how to filter 3 of these aquariums with one of those. So if you want to see that, make sure you're subscribed if you're not already, and I'll see you guys in the next video. This is cool. Huh. and come right back here now. I always wanted to be able to do this with my fish tanks, like be able to go behind them, like a fish store. All right, that's it. See you guys shortly.